Disclaimer. You pretty much know from the title of this video, this stuff is going to get deep. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, it's me, TGTB, and as I promised, I am making this Eclipse full character analysis video, and this is how we are going to be doing it. I'm going to have like chunks of the timeline, and then I'm going to like psychoanalyze that part of it from there. And I basically have 8 parts, and I have something about like what happened in his final moments, and also who I think was in the thumbnail. Trust me, it's going to be relevant. So let's get into this, shall we? Timeline 1. Sun and Moon are created. Sun and Moon are created, and then with the kill code, as we all know, which Eclipse was and still has memories from that. Of course, he was only taught about that stuff, so naturally he believes that that's what's the way things are, and that's just who he is. Oh no, not really that's who he is, but that's all he knows. And in fact, it's not really, it's like what he's been taught. Like, I believe, I will get into that later. Sun and Moon separate, abandoning Eclipse. Eclipse at that time was definitely felt powerless and all that stuff, but I'm going to get into that when we start talking about Eclipse's mental health after this part. So, and then he creates Blood Moon, and Blood Moon escapes, shows himself for the first time. Sun and Moon go to Golden. Yeah. So let's get into the mental health side of things. Abandonment issues, they're very much so. For, in a way, as it's been kind of hinted, like so much, that Eclipse subconsciously is kind of like Moon kind of to Eclipse is subconsciously the father that left to go get the milk. That's what I'm saying. He's never really experienced, all he's experienced is conditional love. And from the second that he came into existence, Sun was just like saying, "Ow, I have a headache," which basically told Eclipse what his part is in the theatre stage play that is their lives, which basically was the villain. So then he put on a mask. We are going to talk about that later. He has a lot of fear and as well survival techniques. And those survival techniques are essentially just trying to display dominance and all of that stuff. Like trying to make a certain it seems that he isn't weak and all that. Like imagine a sick baby wildebeest down on its own in Africa. He doesn't want to seem like that. He wants to seem like the lion of the pride. Like the leading lion. That is basically the level of things go. And that's basically how a lot of things go. Timeline 2. Sun puts the chip inside of Roxanne, and then he learns about the star. Okay, here we go here. He starts showing a form of dominance. He puts the chip inside of Roxanne, 1 to screw with Sun, and 2 to start displaying some dominance. Before that, he was just an annoyance. But until he actually put that inside of Roxanne's head, I actually started to fear him then, displaying form of dominance. And the star is actually kind of like he wanted it originally to create a world where he was the lion of the pride. So then you feel safe. He feels safe because he was never really safe ever. So his entire arc was just to get unconditional love and to just feel safe and to get a form of power to the point where he does feel safe. Next timeline. Sun and Moon get hunted down by the government. Eclipse talks to Sun. Eclipse summons the Witherstorm. What he's trying to do there It's essentially he's trying to mentally weaken Sun and Moon to gain the upper hand. But it goes bit back, but it definitely goes backwards because they end up growing stronger because of that. And he continues to try to maintain dominance, to try to feel safe, because at this time Moon's learning magic and is able to suppress him in Sun, and at this point he is the wildebeest during the whole government saga, even though they were the one that he was chasing. That's how he felt. So I'm not saying that he did the right thing ever, but with his mental state and his flight or flight response, he was always in fight or flight. He was always in fight, because that's how basically the kill code that he grew from was trained to do. Timeline 4. Lunar gets introduced. And at this time, it's 1 month until the deadline for the star is finished. And then Lunar and Eclipse take over. I'm skipping some stuff because I'm only doing some stuff that he has a big part in. Lunar turns against Eclipse. Sun, quote unquote, kills Eclipse. Mental state. Wanted unconditional love from Lunar. Also kind of feels envy for Lunar when, because the second moon actually went inside of his mind. He actually saw Lunar as just an innocent child that needs help. Meanwhile, Eclipse never got that sympathy. I mean, I don't blame them, but because why would you want to trust or give any of your enemies sympathy? I'm just saying. So he definitely felt envy towards that and jealousy, which is probably because before then, yes, he treated him badly, but he didn't know how to treat family. But then he probably just felt envy in that towards Lunar. Definitely a most toxic relationship between him and Lunar. The most toxic one I've ever seen, honestly. Caring for Lunar, as it's been stated in the episode where he kicked the bucket, Solar Flare mentions that he did care, but he refused to show it. Like the old moon. Like father, like son. I'm sorry, you don't question me in the comments. Just watch Mind, Muscle, and Morality Theory, and that explains it all. Let's continue. Lunar betrays him, and it kind of breaks his heart, really, which kind of makes him want to kill him. Again, kind of understandable, but that does not give him any reason to. But with the whole mental state and all that stuff, constantly in fight or flight response, he is smart and is able to use logic. But he's very black and white. That's what the amygdala does. And his amygdala is fully taken over. The amygdala is fight or flight. It happens when you're angry, when you're scared, and all that. That's what the amygdala is. Anyway, timeline 5. Eclipse returns in Blood Moon's head. He attempts to manipulate him. Kill Code calls Eclipse, Blood Moon, and technically Lunar his kids. Which I just want to say right now, that was before they completely split into two personalities. I just want to point that out. But don't question it. Eclipse and Blood Moon separate, but he becomes one with Casey's lab as an AI, having to follow every order. So this is essentially, this puts a lot more PTSD on him. As if he didn't have enough. He gets put on a lot on there, and he feels, we are powerless. We are powerless. We are powerless. I'm sorry for that. Being told that they are the son, technically, of the person he hates the most, because the kill code at that time was still one with Moon. They even referred to Moon as the other half and that. Before, even even when Eclipse was alive, like before Casey was introduced, the kill code did show up, but it wasn't necessarily their own person yet. So technically, are you following my logic? Being reduced to the lowest of the low, aka the baby wildebeest. Timeline 6. Solar Flare is built, who Eclipse refers to as a son in an episode. I can never get over that. He teams up with Moon to fix for a bit. Definitely is something that Moon shouldn't have done. He steals Solar Flare's body, as we all remember. Or shall I say Sonic. I gotta start calling Solar Flare Sonic again. He puts a bomb back at Lunar's head to go get the star. He gets the star. Mental state. Powerless, the powerless. I'm sorry. But what he's also showing throughout the entire series is something that's called choice theory. It's something that essentially, that every choice it makes, it's basically to help oneself. There's like, to experience love, for health, needs, dreams, and to feel safe. Do you see all of that in there? Am I not the only one that sees all of this in here? I better not be. He feels a lot more unsafe during this time because he's nothing but an AI, for heaven's sake, and Sun successfully nearly killed him with a sword, for heaven's sake. And man, did that sword look cool. Anyway, he goes like full survival mode, like full flight or flight. In his entire life, he's been full of that. Anyway, he gains the star. Moon loses his memories. Eclipse blows up Lunar. Ah, yes. Eclipse becomes God. Eclipse make people love him and despise Sun and Moon. Let me ask you a question. Why didn't he just directly kill Sun and Moon or just put them in a world of torment? I mean, technically he did. But he made it so that he was loved. He made it so then people cared about him. Am I the only one that doesn't see him as a villain? More like someone that just needs help mentally and just needs a hug from someone who just, yeah, but he's dead now, so who cares? Me. He still doesn't really feel safe with the star. Even though he has the power of God, literally, he still doesn't feel safe. Because he's never had that safe environment. He's never felt safe. He's never had. He's just longing for that feeling. Again, choice theory. He no longer finds joy in torturing Sun and Moon. Which is a way of saying, you know, like with, revenge is a dish best served cold. But that dish will go away. And it will no longer feel good and it will only add to your pain. Timeline 8. All of this continues until he finds out variables to a potential future. AKA, yeah, pretty much this month essentially. He tries to get Sun and Moon to trust him but fails and he gets killed. Him and Solar Flare killed. I forgot to call him Sonic again. Oh my goodness. Here's something here, in his final moments. He finally showed emotional vulnerability. Am I the only person that loved that he finally showed emotional vulnerability? He was crying in there. It was like desperate. He wanted to stay alive. He wanted to do something. Am I the only person that noticed that? That didn't just say, oh yeah, it's dead. He's finally dead. Woo! That villain's gone and I hate his guts. Honestly, I don't blame you, but again, not saying it. He actually shown like true remorse in a way and like panic. He was trying to, like, protect the universe. Like, he did the wrong things, definitely. But, like, in his own twisted way, he was doing the wrong thing for the right reason. And he acted as if he wished to do more with his life. Like, part of me just wants one of his what do they call it again? Backups to be still out there, but to lose its memories. So then we can see who the real one is. Which brings us to the biggest question yet. Who is the child in the thumbnail? As I said at the beginning, Eclipse was given a role that he has to play. Eclipse had to play a role. He had to hide underneath a mask. He had to show a strong and threatening persona, when underneath he was doing nothing but suffering. The child was crying. I do not believe it was Lunar. I do not believe it was a star or anything. It looks like Moon. And part of me wants to say that's the real Eclipse. That's the real him without his mask, without playing a role, without acting. I think that is the real him. The real him who just needs someone. Who just craved safety, love, companionship, and just to feel, and just to relax and live a happy life. If you think about it, that's all he's ever wanted. Imagine if one of his backups did come back. And what if that backup didn't have its memories? What if Eclipse did that on purpose before he died? And made it so then, what if I didn't have to suffer in my life? What if people knew the real me? Lunar did that, and what if I tried that? But they can't do it now because of mistakes I've done. But Moon managed to change. So why can't I? I know this is a very long stretch thing, but I saw how desperate he was. I saw how much he really just wanted to just survive. I just hope that if he does come back, it's for the good. And please do not tell me that's never going to happen. And please do not give me anything bad. Anyway, let's do the outro. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. I'll see you in the next one. Fan art competition is still going on. And I hope you enjoyed this video. This was Eclipse's full character analysis video. And I will see you in the next one.